Hi there. Welcome to White Women Wake Up. I'm Jonelle.
And I'm Karen.
Each week, one of us brings a topic to the table, something we've been wrestling with, reading about, or noticing in our own lives.
And the other reacts in real time, no scripts, no prep, just honest conversation between a mother and daughter, spanning generations about what it means to wake up as white women in a world shaped by bias, power, and inherited patterns.
We don't always agree, and it's not always comfortable, but we show up anyways.
Let's wake up. Hi, Jonelle.
Hi, Karen. How are you? It's Thanksgiving week. So
yes, it's our final episode.
And it's our final episode,
season.
Which is crazy. So did we start Thanksgiving last year?
I don't know. I don't remember. I don't even remember.
I don't either. I mean, I know we started around this time frame, but that's
we must have
crazy
because
to
this
me
is their 52nd.
That we were bold enough to be like, you know what else we should add on to a holiday week?
Yeah,
starting a podcast.
Yeah, and we'd never done it before.
That's really, but we were really like charged.
Yeah, we were very charged.
Yeah.
I think the whole shakeup of the election of all of us white women not voting.
there was a lot out there. Yeah. But anyways, yay, we made it to a year.
A year. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And today is our reflection.
Reflection and kind of a fun New Year. So this is our quote unquote New Year's.
Oh, this is kind of fun to have the New Year be at the beginning of the holiday season.
I know, I do like that.
Yeah.
So we have some fun stuff planned for us today. But before we get there, reflection time.
Oh, from last week.
So last week you brought up a really great topic, something I know you definitely struggle with. We all struggle with projecting onto people, projecting stories onto people, projecting, just their responses, and how that really can actually turn into just a false relationship or grief around a relationship when like needs, expectations aren't really met.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is a perfect reflection or conversation for the holiday season.
Yeah.
Because is it not so the case that we have so many expectations, especially close family members, of how they're going to present themselves or what they're going to do, or all of there's just a lot of family time, as we know.
Yeah.
It's a lot of family time, people coming together. And so often you do project what you were like in childhood or what you liked when you all lived together. And people change, things adjust, better or worse. And so that's kind of what I've been thinking about a lot lately, is like, how can I step back and really just accept everyone for who they are?
Yeah.
We have a big group coming for Thanksgiving, which is so fun.
Yeah,
but
totally exciting.
Dynamics of new people, and you just gotta let them be them.
Yeah. And I think the thing that I really reflected on is, the language of projection.
Yeah.
And how I have a preconceived idea of who someone is.
Yeah.
Whether that's the way they present themselves or whether it's, who they actually are.
Yeah.
I really kind of thought a lot about that theory. But I realized my issue is I'm often not listening with like when I'm listening, like I'm present, I try to listen, but I realize that I'm coming with all of these preconceived ideas of who the person is or what the person presented themselves to be. It's all bias, right? And so I think what I'm trying to do is step back and actually listen without prejudging or preconceiving or projecting, all the PRs, right? So letting someone be authentically themselves by even if they have a discrepancy in their own relationship with themselves, who are they saying they are at that moment? And it's hard, isn't it?
That's a good That is where I struggle the most on. It's not from my own perceptions, but it's wanting people to be the people that they say they are.
Yeah.
And that's where I struggle with when there's a disconnect there, I try to hold them to the person that they say they are,
But I
and
think
that creates conflict.
But I think that's where that theory comes up, because we think we're desiring to be our ideal self, but then there's all these other selves that we truly are. And I think sometimes it takes a lot of time to know ourselves, to even know how we're projecting ourselves, context. Anyway, so I think in my case, in reflecting on it, it's really about trying to listen. Not great at it, as you know, but I'm trying. I'm trying to do it with my students. I'm trying to do it with my colleagues. I'm trying.
For listeners, we've actually gotten into a couple little arguments, not arguments fully, this week about listening. You are not listening to me. What did I say? Cup focus.
Well, especially when I get so we'll talk on the phone and I'll be on my computer and I'm very distracted. Instead of saying, you keep saying, well, just say you're on your computer and call me back later. So I think that the phone time, the computer times, all these things can distract us from actually being present in the moment.
We're pulled in a lot of directions. And so the holidays, it's a time that we love, but it gets a little crazy.
And you spend a lot of time with family during the holidays and close friends. More so than probably usually. Okay. What are we going to do for our 52nd episode?
For 52nd, our final episode of season 1 is shocking. Going to be a big time of reflection.
Okay.
And so, you know this. We talked about
it. We really had a good conversation about, we want to be able to look back at this year and see. I feel like I've learned so much, and I know you have said the same thing. So what are some things that we'd like to talk about, and where do we want to go for the new year?
Exactly. Then where do we want to go? We're going to do a little exercise. I talked about this in a previous podcast called the New Year's Bingo, and it's like a new thing that I love. And so we'll do it ourselves. Hopefully you at home will also kind of enjoy this, and then we can kind of do New Year's goals and bingo together.
And maybe it's worth doing it with someone that you're trying to have connection with. Okay, Jonelle, go for it.
So reflection. Where do we want to start? I know you said you've had a lot of thoughts moving around in your head. So if you want to go, we can talk where do you want to go?
I think the thing for me, I'm really glad, first of all, I'm really glad that we spent some time writing out what we wanted to be. And our primary goal is to, or at least I feel like our primary goal, or I keep going back to this, is where are my biases showing up, and how do my biases influence really just about everything, right? Like the decisions I make, the way I walk in the world, what I choose to read and watch. How are those affecting me, and how can I be more intentional about thinking about it? So one thing I'd like to I'm just really grateful that we wrote a really clear statement, because there's so many things to think about right now. And that's a really big topic. And so every time I start, I go on a million different directions. I'm really thankful that we have this really succinct statement of what our goal is. We're not this, we're not that, but we are two white women talking about our inherited biases. And how they shape us.
And I love that you're bringing that up. I think for audience members, for listeners, is we definitely had we had clear visions each, but we had a lot of back and forth at the beginning of and we still have some of these back and forths of who we feel like, who our audience member is, who our ideal is, who we're speaking to. But to your point, at the core, we really started with saying, okay, at the core, we want to talk about white women. And it's funny, my brother's literally calling right now. I thought I put myself on. I'm so tempted, audience members, to pick it up.
So
he would be so mad. But it's just, anyways, speaking of family calling, he's gotten through my do not disturb. But back to what I was kind of saying about our outline of what we wanted for this. And I think the clear thing that we both really wanted was both educating women, but also women empowerment. I think it's this tricky push and pull of making sure our resources, our knowledge, our education base are from females, like
Yeah.
really making sure we're digging in and finding sources that are from the female perspective and really, so in that sense, empowering. But at the same time, not wanting to center white women either. And at the same time, really making sure the education is around, our bias, things that we don't know, unlearning things. And so those were kind of the two that we really stated from the beginning.
Yeah.
We, like one time you did mention, or you put up a book by a male.
Yeah,
and
we haven't done it that often.
I ousted it. I was like, I'm not putting this on our website.
And it's the funny thing is, it's not because, I mean, prior to doing this, I think 99.9% of my reading was probably from males.
Totally.
And predominantly white males.
Yes.
And it's not because I thought or did not think. It's just what was out there and what was promoted. So I think that was one of the things that I learned early on, is that I wasn't consuming media, consuming information that was BIPOC females.
Yeah.
And when we say BIPOC females, we also mean transgender persons.
Females. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we've intentionally really tried to hear stories from other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what I've learned so much about that, and this is going to sound so ignorant, which I hate, is the wealth of those resources.
Oh,
like the depth and the breadth of those resources, and I knew they were out there, but like to the point that every week you still find a new book, a new podcast, a new something
every week
out there, and yet our society doesn't focus on that.
Yeah.
So that has been like such an empowering, I think, gift. I keep using the word empowering, but a gift that like we talk about all the time that there is a never-ending wealth of topics here.
Yeah.
A never-ending wealth of conversation to keep having. And though things definitely overlap at times, there's still so much to have.
Yeah.
There's still so much to learn. There's still so much to unpack, grow. I think the other thing that we did, sorry, before you want to jump in,
go for it,
was we were very clear. We have strong political beliefs, but we did not want to bring any political bias to this show.
Yeah.
Now, have we done that 100% perfectly? Probably not.
Well,
I'm sure our audience has seen some of our political biases seep in a bit. But I still feel like overall, given the climate that we're in, given our strong beliefs, we have done a really good job to try to make this non-biased, nonpartisan, because we don't want any side to feel shamed or grieved. We want the conversation to be open for everyone to learn.
Well, and I think the thing is, here's the challenge. What we're talking about should not be partisan, like this side or that side. What we're trying, like, I think we're bringing up a lot of social advocacy and a lot of things. We've brought up education, we've brought up healthcare, we've brought up, medicines. We brought up so many different things. And if someone sees that as political, then that kind of saddens me, because what I'm trying to do, and I think this is one of the things that I've learned in my own, and I'm guilty of that. I mean, this is the interesting thing about this whole podcast, is all of what we're bringing up is I'm guilty of it. And so when we're trying to bring up advocacy, I don't know how much I've gone out and thought about the advocacy of things before. And so this is when we're talking about political issues like, perhaps you're voting this way or voting that way, it has more to do with, advocate people that are living on the margins and why are they living on the margins. So I would hope people would not see that as a red or blue political discussion. They may, but it really is about loving our neighbors. So, yeah.
Well, and you said something there around not knowing or not advocating, and I think that is hopefully something that, that is a goal that we've really gone on this year, of being truly our authentic selves. I mean, sometimes potentially to a fault, we knew going into this that there would be fear, and there still is fear in the future of being, taking a soundbite, being canceled, because we're trying to be authentically there and open up the things that we know people maybe have thought about but don't necessarily feel comfortable talking about. And so we know that's scary, but I'm really proud of us for doing that. And in the spirit of authenticity, I would say my biggest learning this year was how arrogant and unknowledgeable I actually was.
Yeah.
You came in, we have a relationship of, and I think this is very common for younger generations, is to be the teacher to their older generations. You and I have that dynamic. And so going into this, there was a lot of thought of like, you were excited to learn. I was excited to teach you. I was excited to teach the audience. And to be fair, I mean, you might say
because you feel like you've done a lot of work.
Yes.
You feel like you've been open to the idea.
Yes.
It's kind of like Robin DiAngelo's book, Nice Racism. It's like, we're nice. We don't think we're racist because we're really open to the conversation, and yet we don't realize that there's still so much work to be done.
Totally. And it's not that I didn't know there wasn't work to be done, but I think I came in a couple steps ahead of you thinking, just thinking that, arrogantly thinking it would be a lot more teaching than educating. And I am so grateful that I am not the personality type who it gets stuck in my ways, because I love that I've been able to learn so much. And I love that I've been able to absorb things and take on things. And I'm so happy that that journey switched for me from a journey of educating to a journey of learning. And so that's been, I think, some of the things that I enjoy the most is being able to honestly be like, even the movie thing the other day, I thought to myself, like, this is so duh. Like, how am I just
how are we not
thinking about this
expanding our
right now and stuff? And so, and I have to get caught in that ignorance sometimes and be okay with that. And I've enjoyed that journey. And oh man, speaking of the movie thing, I forgot there was another example of something I saw, and I was just like, come on, movies. I can't remember it now off the top of my head. But yeah, there's so many different tropes out there. Anyways, that's derailing.
So I want to share something that I feel that I've learned or have been more aware of. So as we started digging deeper into kind of bypass, diverse books, diverse podcasts. So when we're saying diverse, we're talking about women, women of color, Black women, Latinos, Indigenous person, all different, Asian, all different myriads of our world spectrum, Muslim and so forth. One of the things that I remember finding in one of our podcasts, and I can't remember which one, but a group of women, and I don't remember what ethnicity they were, but they were talking they were talking about healthcare, well-being, how do they succeed in their careers. And when I first heard it, I was kind of like, wait a second. Why are you talking about that? Don't you want to talk about like racial injustice? Don't you want to talk about, systemic oppression? And it dawned on me, duh, this is exactly what, so many persons of color are trying to say. We are done educating you.
Oh, yeah.
We want to get on with our life. We want to move forward with our life.
Yes.
You all educate, you white women educate yourself. And so it made me, it was like
Google is a thing.
Yeah, it was like a reverse role, because I thought about the years in my 30s and my 40s where I spent so much time in self-help books and learning about my identity and things like that. And yes, all of that was important, but I spent no time learning about racial injustice, learning about oppression, learning about helping other people to be who they were, because I just assumed everyone was like me. So that was a really learning curve and a big reminder of, yes, we white women, if we care about our sisters that have been othered, we're going to do our work and we're going to spend time on this journey to have the discussion, say the wrong things, be vulnerable, and yet really learn how our microaggressions, how our policies, how the choices we make can really be causing systemic harm. So that was really helpful for me. That was a big eye-opening for me.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
We do have to move on to like bingo and next, but there are a couple things that I wrote down of things I wish I knew before going to this
Oh
year.
my gosh,
Things that
you
I
really
think,
did take this to heart.
Yeah. Well, this was the plan. Ladies and gentlemen, we showed up to recording today and she goes, so are you leading it? And I said, no, this is supposed to be a joint
I've been
effort.
talking about this forever. And like, oh, I can't wait to reflect on what we've learned this year. And Janelle's like, maybe. And now you took it to heart. Good job, Janelle.
Well, yeah. Who did their homework now? Jeez.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so these are some things that I kind of put down. You won't, after, like, again, reminder, this is like, if I had known at the beginning of the year before we started this, we won't become better. We didn't become better. We became more honest.
Yeah, that's a good one. I love that because, good, I like these prompts.
Yeah, I knew you'd like
Yeah, in fact, in all humility, it is not being better. It's just seeing the world with my eyes more wide open.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah, seeing the world with my eyes more wide open. I think one of the things that's really also encouraging as our world develops, the United States develops, it is becoming more and more diverse, and I'm excited to be part of this story instead of pushing people away. So yeah, we're not, in fact, if anything, I feel much more humble than I did before.
Well, and this is what I was trying to say about coming and teaching versus learning.
Yeah.
And I feel like the rabbit hole continues of all the things that I continue to learn and unlearn every day. Another one that I think is very important that we've talked about a lot is uncomfortability will make you want to quit.
Yeah.
But there is no finish line to this work.
Yeah.
It keeps unfolding.
Yeah.
And I think that's been a really, not totally unknown discovery, but a really big discovery for us. And as we've talked about, why community is so important. We've said this before, but without each other, we would not be continuing on to this. We've each had hard days within this. We've each been overwhelmed. And it's been so great to have a partner to be able to be there in those times and be like, no, we got to keep going.
Yeah.
Like, we can keep the message alive. So I think that's been a big one.
And I want to talk about the uncomfortability. I mean, Janelle and I, it was so good. We wrote a book in the but I'm actually glad we put it aside because I think we've also learned a lot. I think we'll go back and edit some more. But anyways, one of the things that now, as I say this, I'm going to screw up over the holidays. I know it. But I feel the uncomfortability is really rampant in white culture.
Oh, yeah.
Really rampant in white culture. And one of the things that we talked about earlier this year that I was really grateful is I know me, when I saw someone uncomfortable having this discussion about race and bias and inequities, I would want to fix their discomfort. And I think I'm getting better in being able to sit with the discomfort. Because I'm okay being uncomfortable. I'm okay knowing that I don't know all these answers. And so, yesterday I had an interesting experience. Okay. Yeah. And it was, 10 years ago, I would have asked my class, what is your favorite tradition over the holidays?
Yeah.
Okay. And 10 years ago, most of those students responded towards Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I asked my class, what are your excitements about the holidays? I would say 40% did not celebrate Thanksgiving. And I was really glad that I don't think I shamed anyone by saying, oh, you don't do turkey. Like, I think I would have said that in the past. Instead, I was able to say, okay, let's talk about when we're with family.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what food we enjoy to use. Or what are things to talk about, as opposed to making people feel like they're supposed to assimilate to a holiday that they may not feel good about, or their families just don't celebrate. So I think that that's something that hopefully I've learned, and hopefully I can, have dialogue rather than shaming someone because they're not doing the white normative culture, white normative event in the United States, or what we perceive as normative.
So those kind of move into my last two, and then we'll talk about next year. So listening is harder than you think because we're taught to fix and comfort and not listen. So that is definitely something as white women, it is and again, like you said, around the holiday table, people might get into some uncomfortable conversations, and it's okay to let people work through that. You don't need to step in and fix or comfort or
You did such a good job describing that. Will you say that again? Because then I want to talk about how that connects to white tears. Say that again.
Listening is harder than you think because we're taught to fix or comfort, not listen.
So when we're taught to fix or comfort and the person is still uncomfortable, and our advice does not fix them, and we do go to tears. I mean, it's amazing how quickly we can go to tears because our intention is what we were taught.
Yes.
Like our intention is aligned with what we thought was good, which was to fix or comfort. So no wonder we're confused when people also get upset with our white tears because they're not really aligning. Like, we need to realign our intentions, right? Yeah.
Well, realign our emotional literacy.
Yeah.
It's
kind of,
it's
good
like,
word.
It's like gentle parenting ourselves. We've, I've talked about this months ago, how like with my therapist, I would kind of joke about like, I had to re-gentle parent myself to like, embrace different emotions.
Yeah.
And so this is the same, like you said, those emotions don't line up. We're trying to fix it, but we're being shamed or it's uncomfortable for fixing it, rightfully so, because we shouldn't jump in and fix it. But our internalized emotions don't add up. And so then it creates white women tears instead of teaching ourselves to self-regulate, teaching ourselves like, it's okay.
Or if we cry, to settle back and say, this discomfort is not about you.
Yeah.
This discomfort is because I wasn't taught to sit in your discomfort. You know what I mean? And so I don't know how to respond.
No.
Yeah.
So gentle parenting ourselves.
Instead, we get mad at someone because we're crying and they don't understand why we're crying and they're not being sympathetic to us. Yeah.
We talked about that today.
But you did I really like the way you defined that.
Karen was doing a task for me, which I really appreciate, that she was not happy about doing. And so she got very cranky about it and wanted to start saying some mean things.
Yeah,
and
I'm a shame-based person.
You shame-based when you're cranky. Passive-aggressive shame-based is like straight. We were even joking about some of the extremes things she says in those moments. Yeah. You're like, what? Where did that even come from?
Yeah.
But she really appreciated that when she was getting to that point and stuff, I said, it's okay to have your emotions.
Yeah.
Your feelings are your feelings.
It was great. And then I was able to settle down in my feelings.
And you didn't say the crazy things that you normally say when you're angry. And so again, it's gentle parenting ourselves to...
Okay, we don't have a lot of time. So you have a bingo game you want us to play.
Well, what I was going to say, because we do not have time for the bingo game, I think we need to leave it to episode 1 of what are we kicking the new year off with, because there's so much I want to talk about. And we only have a couple minutes, so let's just keep reflecting for the year.
I think the thing...
Wait, I had one more on my reflection list.
Okay.
You'll get it wrong often, and that's part of the work.
Yeah. I think, that one, thank you for bringing up that point. Because this discussion is so nuanced, because I'm coming into this discussion with so many inherited patterns from my culture, from my parents' culture, from my childhood, from the whiteness around me, from my not realizing that it is a dominant narrative that is dictating my conversations. I get it wrong all the time. And then I'm frustrated because I still have to spend a lot of time thinking about it to try to even understand how it's Right. Like even when you just brought up that point about the statement that you made that I realized, oh my gosh, that's how I can go into white women tears because my intentions aren't lining up, right? I've been taught one thing. It's so ingrained in me that I don't understand how that's considered a bad pattern.
Yeah.
So, or a pattern that hurts. Not a bad pattern, but a pattern that can hurt someone.
And yourself.
And myself.
I mean, it doesn't help you either.
Because it shuts down the conversation.
But it also shuts down your emotion. It brings shame on you. Because I think there's a big difference between discomfort and safe failing and shame. And I think a lot of times we put discomfort and shame in the same bucket. And that's what we're trying to show here, that they're totally different things. Shame is something you bring on yourself by like seeing failure as a negative. And when you see failure as like an opportunity,
a process,
continuous improvement, a process, discomfort doesn't become the same negative connotation with shame as you can separate those two and stuff. And so again, it's just healthy for yourself. No one wants to sit in shame. It's hard to watch people like you love also sit in shame. Like you're a great person. Like don't, it's okay to be this. And so, or to make these mistakes. So these are great. Okay. So
one more? No.
I had a couple lasting questions. So there's like two things I want to ask us. And then I just had some final reflection questions for the listeners because I want them to reflect on their time as well. But first, what is the biggest change we saw in each other? So what is the biggest change you saw in me? We've talked about our reflections and our change. And then Well,
I think one of the changes is you and I used to get to spend like 3 hours going through some of these conversations. And I know it would take me 2 of those hours to unravel some of my points. So then to have to succinctly think about my points in a half an hour has been really hard. And I know it has frustrated you too, because you'd like me to be a little clearer, but it's also helped me be clearer to think about things. So anyways, I think that's been one
projection.
Thing. Oh, is it a projection? Okay. So, but one thing that has been interesting for me in this is because I could like unravel versus being a little bit really thinking things through so that I can be more articulate. I think it's helped me think about the words that I'm trying to use to describe events or feelings or how I feel about certain things. So maybe I'm doing some more self-reflection.
That's great. That wasn't the question.
Oh, what was the question? I can't.
But what was great is you gave a similar answer. The question was, what change have you seen in me? And I was going to ask what change you've seen in you. But what's great is you kind of answered the way I was going to answer about, I think you've done a really good job of figuring out to succinctly digest these conversations and have it in a short period of time without us having to really kind of circle. I also think listening, like you have gotten very good at, I think listening, understanding the other. I hope you hear how often I praise you for some of this, but I've just seen so much learning and growth within your patient space and really how you interact with people. I know our family is a patience builder, and that hasn't always been your strongest asset. But I really have seen you like grow so much within that. And so that's what I would say.
Okay. I would say one of the things that I think I've seen change in you is I've seen you to really listen when I need patience around digesting a complex idea. So a lot of this stuff is so nuanced and it is complicated. It isn't, because I want to be authentic. I actually really don't want to be dissing people. I don't want to be shaming people. I don't want to project on people. So I really want to learn so that I'm authentically learning from the other. And so as I think when we used to, like, I'm thinking back on a year ago in our conversations, I think sometimes some of the things I may have said probably shocked you. And so definitely. And so you were more on the oh my gosh side, and you were more on like, can't you see it?
Yeah.
And instead now I feel, and maybe you trust that I'm actually in it for the conversation rather to prove a point, or maybe you trust that I'm not going to run from these hard conversations, because I do feel that you've been much more willing to let me untether these.
Yeah.
I know those words become kind of generic, but you've been allowing me to work these concepts out without getting on me right away. Or you've been allowing me to walk away from conversations knowing that I'll re-engage in the conversation. So that's been really helpful for me, instead of like I could hope that for any person my age, that they could find a younger person that has patience while they work out some of their inherited culture.
Well, and I think where we've gotten there, and we're over, but I love where this is going, is because I appreciate that you think I have more patience, but I also think so much of it is because you have actually educated yourself on things. I think oftentimes when we'd have conversations before, it was coming from just a cloud perspective.
Or my own perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think the difference in these conversations, which I think has clearly been very healthy for both of us as we've had dialogues like this before, is you've come with a much more of an understanding of the background. So whether we disagree or not, you at least have something to stand on, I guess, that helps me like, okay, I see where she's coming from.
You know what? I was just thinking, it is this give and take, because one of the things I'll say to you is, instead of feeling threatened, I will say, I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
I'm going to go spend some time researching it.
Yes.
And I do have to say that is something I've really learned. Like I double check research now on a lot of things. So maybe it's just a level of trust in our conversation.
I do have to say it has been funny, because you have even in the last couple of years, like, will check some facts I say, which I am not used to being fact checked. And so it is a little offensive at first. I can see why people are like, well, what is your news source on? Like, what is your source on that? And I'm like, excuse me, do you not trust? But I'm like, I get it now. Yeah. Because you're so into your fact checking that you're like, no, I want to make sure this is accurate. Okay, well, I love that. This has been an
bingo.
amazing
We're going to kick off with bingo.
We'll kick off with bingo, but I also want listeners to really think about what is one thing you're committing to this year? What is one thing you're ready to release? And then what do you wish you'd known before you started this process and listening to us? We'd really love to hear from you. Yeah. You don't understand how much listener engagement just makes our day.
It does.
We get so excited when we hear from you. We talk about the listeners all the time that we hear from.
And we are so thankful that you're in on this conversation with us. Because we really do want to give BIPOC women a break, and we need to educate ourselves.
It's actually so perfect that now that you say that, the Thanksgiving week is our final year. Because we're so thankful.
Thankful.
You wrote a beautiful Thanksgiving post. I hope everyone sees it on Instagram. I also sent it out over email. But yeah, so thankful for all of you. So just thank you so much. Have a great
year. We need balloons.
We do. Maybe I'll find a special effect for the YouTube video and give us some balloons. But if you found this episode meaningful, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Please tell your friends in the new year. Keep us growing. You can also connect with us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Substack, or at whitewomenwakeup.com. Bye. Well, we don't normally record this late.
Yeah.
And so the lighting is definitely
not as exciting.
Not your finest. Well,
you can tell it's getting darker in the northwest.
We are just delayed today. Okay, I think I'm ready.
Maybe my camera's fuzzy.
Nope, it's the lighting. We need to we're not influencers in the sense that we don't have
we don't have good lighting or anything.
No, it's shocking we've made it this far.